I feel betrayed as my boyfriend gave away our Switch and my old phone without asking me. Communication is key, but he didn't get it. As the title implies, my boyfriend distributed some items to his relatives. We are a 25-year-old woman and a 26-year-old man, and we have been together for 6 years, which coincides with approximately the time he purchased the Nintendo Switch in 2019. He acquired Just Dance for us, Animal Crossing for me, Minecraft, and several other games. Fast forward to 2021, we went to visit his family for the holidays and brought along the Switch. While we were there, we visited Target and purchased a new game, Ring Fit Adventure. Upon returning home from our vacation, my boyfriend left the Switch so that they could play and borrow it. He mentioned that he intended to give them the Switch at that time. His sisters were approximately 4 and 6 years old, and I found it perplexing that they couldn't even operate it. Unfortunately, his stepfather and mother were not supportive of gaming, as he and his brother spent a significant amount of time gaming, which they disapproved of. His brother resides 3 hours away from them, while we lived 22 hours away. During his brother's visit to their mother, she decided unilaterally to give the Switch to him without even inquiring if my boyfriend wanted it back, which I find objectionable. I expressed to my boyfriend that I would like the Switch returned, but he insisted that his brother was using it and that we would eventually get it back. When his brother visited us, he did return the Switch. Let us assume we regained possession of it in the summer of 2021. Please bear in mind that the fitness game initially included a steering wheel, which was essential to its gameplay, and we never retrieved the Minecraft cartridge, preventing us from playing either of those games, which I found disappointing. Fast forward to the more recent past, my boyfriend and I relocated to live with his grandparents, which is now 7 hours from his parents, in September. Since settling here, he has purchased Mario Odyssey for us to play. Although he wished for me to play it solo, I wanted it to be a shared experience. However, I believe he was preoccupied with another game at the same time. He consistently encouraged me to play it, but I seldom did. There were a few evenings when we took it out and played together, which I preferred. We also took it with us on flights. I should mention that I didn't play Animal Crossing much or at all. However, I frequently thought about starting it when I encountered something cute online or in stores. Yet, upon returning home, I would end up gaming with my boyfriend instead, since the Switch was often out of sight, stored in its case under the bed due to a lack of space. We had it on his desk for only a few months each year, yet that is not an excuse. If I truly wanted to play, I could have. Skipping ahead, his mother contacted him before Christmas to ask about a Wii, specifically for her daughters to play Wii Sports. My boyfriend suggested that we could bring the Switch for Christmas, and his mother could buy Switch Sports along with extra controllers. His mother agreed. I was aware this was not the best decision because, first, she implied readiness for them to have their own system. Secondly, why couldn't he simply recommend she purchase a Switch or assist her in sourcing one online for them to keep? He partially advised against going the Wii route, promoting the Switch instead, and offered to bring ours. However, she could have insisted on investing in one herself rather than accepting. Sure, you buy the game and pay for me, even though you'll have it for only a limited time, which was my interpretation at that moment. I should point out that before our holiday travels, I suggested looking for the steering wheel piece for the game at his parents' house, indicating that I wanted to play it and that I would utilize it. Anyway, fast forward to our arrival at his parents' house. We began playing Switch Sports, and I ended up purchasing Mario Party and Overcooked with my own money on my credit card. On the eve of our departure, I asked his sister for the Minecraft game to place in the case and box. She refused, saying it was her game and that if someone took it, we would erase her world, then rushed to hide it. I remained silent afterward. Even the younger sister suggested to the older one that she should return it, but she did not comply. She has had it since 2021. On the day we were leaving his parents' house, I went to pack up the Switch when his mother approached me and said something like, "Oh, didn't tell you. We will borrow the Switch for a few weeks while Grandma is here, and we will return it in 2 weeks." The entire time we were there, the adults did not participate in any sports or Mario Party games with the children. Instead, they suggested actually going bowling, even though we had already gone bowling upstairs and had done ice skating just 2 days prior. I found it odd that they did not engage in the games with us, but we're going to play it with the girls. I felt embarrassed that my boyfriend had not informed me sooner that we were leaving the Switch behind, especially since I was in the midst of packing it. I found that lack of communication quite awkward. When his mother, along with the sisters and grandma, came over a month later, they did not bring the Switch. I did not have an opportunity to discuss it with him until after they left. He said she forgot it and offered to ship it to us, but he said it was fine to keep it. Later, his sister sent me a video of her playing Minecraft, claiming how easy it was. I felt a bit frustrated because she was sending me footage of a game that she had kept from me, but considering her age around 10 or 11, I suppose I shouldn't take it personally. Rather, I'm annoyed at the situation and the adults involved, my boyfriend and his mother. I believe they do not deserve to retain this console, nor should he have made that decision without consulting me. Despite my having less than 5 hours of playtime over 5 years, in his eyes, merely because I did not play Mario Odyssey every time he suggested it, I had just invested in 2 games while there and had mentioned the sports game. I remarked to him that his sister was immature about the game during our visit, which serves as yet another reason why they should not possess it. If they cannot share with the legitimate owners, they should not be allowed to keep it. He contended that she was merely teasing me and questioned whether I was truly going to be upset with an 8-year-old, arguing that this should not determine her eligibility to play and be happy. I reiterated that I simply did not think they deserved the console, to which he remarked that I was being immature at 25, implying I did not deserve my computer. Continuing, he asked, "Are you really upset with an 8-year-old? First of all, I believe she is 10 or 11. Yet, he insisted that I was holding a grudge against her for the Minecraft game and that I was mad at her. I responded that my frustration was with the adults who should have addressed the situation. He asserted that this is a pivotal age where gaming plays an essential role in life and continued to elaborate on the significance. I had not engaged in gaming until I met him. I had only done so a few times at a friend's house, which I can recall with other friends, but it was never a substantial aspect of my life, and I am perfectly fine with that. In any case, a great deal of arguing and misunderstandings ensued. I expressed that I did not want to have children with him because he makes unilateral choices. He responded by telling me to return to Florida, so I packed my belongings, feeling that there was no resolution in sight. Now, his sisters are purchasing games for the Switch, and he refuses to ask for it back. I'm going to my friend's house, and what if I wanted to play Overcooked or Mario Party with her? I just bought those games. He retorts that there are other PC games we can enjoy that are superior. I countered that there are other activities his sisters can also pursue. He stated he would buy me a new Switch, but I reiterated that this is not the core issue. It is not his responsibility to provide them with a Switch, and he claimed he does not care if it is his duty or not. It is simply what he desires to do. I might be in the wrong here, as he claims it is absurd to consider breaking up over a console or a material object. However, it means more to me than that. I may harbor jealousy toward his sisters and how their mother provides for their home and rooms. I hardly recall the enjoyable moments of my childhood, and I grew up in financial struggle, so it aggravates me to see how much they have. Additionally, they are homeschooled and can be a bit spoiled, but they are still just children. Relevant background not directly related to the Switch, but still important. My boyfriend and I purchased new phones around 2019, specifically the Google Pixel 4 Pros, and when we moved in with his parents, we upgraded to the Google Pixel 6 Pros in 2022. His Pixel 4 began experiencing charging issues. I believed he could have had it repaired somewhere affordable, but he preferred to buy a new one. Consequently, we went to Verizon, where we were presented with a good deal, which included buy one get one half off or free promotions. We inquired about the total increase to our bill, but we were misinformed. I had been paying my sister $50 a month for my phone line, and suddenly, I was responsible for over $270 per month for both of us for 2 years, which I found displeasing. He traded his Pixel 4 for $100 off, while I retained mine as I tend to keep all my old devices, including laptops and phones. Interestingly, we had phone insurance available in Florida, our previous state. Unfortunately, our new state with his grandparents does not have any locations for free phone repairs. Here, the only option is to ship the phone back to receive a new one for $100. When we attended the Big E festival with friends, my boyfriend's phone screen unexpectedly malfunctioned and went black. A friend's mother provided us with her son's old phone, a purple iPhone, when we returned home. My boyfriend attempted to set that up, but it was unsuccessful, so I gave him my Pixel 4. We traveled to my hometown in Florida before Christmas with his phone to facilitate repairs, and it was simple and wonderful that he regained his Pixel 6. Afterward, we went to his parents' house for Christmas, where he thought it would be a good idea to give his mother the Google Pixel 4. I informed him that it was my phone and expressed uncertainty, but he convinced me it belonged to him. Just 2 minutes later, he started asking his mom if she might want it, and she agreed, at which point he initiated the process to give it to her. I had financed both of our phones. The Pixel 4 was completely charged to my Best by credit card at the time, while I paid off the Pixel 6 monthly, as he had been out of work for several months. Additionally, I must mention that, immediately after I upgraded from my gaming laptop to his older PC, he intended to gift my gaming laptop to his cousin, which I had purchased for around $1,500. No way. I generally donate clothing to Goodwill before moving because I lack space, and I feel saddened for months or even years afterward thinking about those items. He understands this and has seen the bag containing all my old phones, laptops, and other belongings. To summarize, my boyfriend gave his Switch to his sisters and my old Google Pixel 4 Pro to his mother without consulting me, despite the fact that it was my phone and I had games installed on the Switch. He argues that I will always possess a reliable phone and claims he will ensure that, yet that is not the issue. I want my phone, which I have already paid for, as a backup and for sentimental reasons, especially considering it serves as a dependable backup if anything happens, given that we canceled the insurance. I also do not wish to incur another 2 years of payments, even though he has suggested going the unlocked Amazon route instead. I desire the Switch, even though it is not wholly mine. I simply do not believe they deserve it. It is not his responsibility. It was intended to be something enjoyable for us to share with friends while enjoying time together. We could have sold either item for extra money or even to his mother if she had inquired. It feels like I am being taken advantage of, yet I believe I should not feel that way. He says he will send me $5,000 from his tax return, but I do not want to purchase a new Switch. I believe we should maintain the original one. The idea that our relationship could potentially end over what seems like a Switch is astonishing. Story 2. Reconnected with my ex after 6 years. We laughed like no time passed, but I'm confused by his silence after a late-night hangout. I was in a relationship with him when I was 16 for a few months after leaving an abusive relationship. We met in middle school when I was 12. To this day, he is the person who has treated me the best. He has always been incredibly kind. He supported me during one of the most traumatic periods of my life. Unfortunately, my memory is genuinely hazy due to multiple mental health challenges, stress, and trauma. Therefore, I don't fully remember how we ended things. From what I recall, the breakup happened because I was overwhelmed by emotions that were unrelated to him. They originated from my previous abusive relationship, and I was trying to cope with those effects. I suffered a concussion and nerve damage from my abusive ex that I am still getting treated for. At that time, I was emotionally unstable and knew I needed to focus on my own well-being. That's my interpretation of why our relationship concluded. Recently, he started following me on Instagram unexpectedly, which left me feeling shocked, confused, and concerned. I quickly inquired if he was okay. He replied that he was, and we began discussing what we had been doing over the past 6 years, as if no time had passed. He expressed that he regretted how our relationship ended and that it has bothered him for years. I am still puzzled by what he meant since I did not harbor any animosity toward him. He mentioned that he always believed I was upset with him and that the reason he followed me was to gauge any lingering feelings of anger I might have had. I haven't questioned him about what went wrong between us because we were essentially children, and I wish to start fresh without being influenced by our past. As we continued talking, he jokingly gave me his phone number, presumably wanting to catch up further. I was taken aback because I thought he was still in a relationship, but he later disclosed that he had been single for about a month. Our conversation flowed easily, and he expressed a desire to see me. I jokingly asked if I came across as a rebound, and he appeared frustrated, insisting no, and we laughed it off. He said he wanted to meet me to be transparent, and admitted he had missed me throughout the years. We were texting while I was at work, exchanging responses within 5 minutes all day, as if we had been good friends for ages. He even sent me a photo he had of me from 6 years ago, which astonished me. He mentioned that he learned a lot from our time together, and I was stunned because, at the time, I felt so lost and immature. What could I have possibly taught him? Later that evening, after finishing work, he drove 20 minutes to see me, and we spent 2 hours in his car just chatting and laughing as though no time had elapsed. It was astonishing how natural the interactions felt. I asked him what he wanted to convey to me. Being a hopeless romantic, I was anticipating that he might express his anger about our past, perhaps revealing that he had always cared for me throughout the years. Instead, he simply said, "No, I just wanted to see you," and I responded with, "You could have just said that." During our conversation, he mentioned he did not envision being in a relationship in the near future, which I completely understood after coming out of a long-term relationship. However, I couldn't help but wonder if he might be looking for something more casual. He told me he was in school to obtain his commercial driver's license, and his school was just a few minutes from my home. He had to be up early for class in a matter of hours, and it was around 3 a.m. while we were talking in his car. He expressed his fatigue and mentioned he might sleep in a gas station parking lot rather than drive home, which I found unbelievable, especially considering it was 20 degrees outside in the Midwest. I insisted he shouldn't do that, but I hesitated letting him into my place because it was messy. He didn't pressure me to invite him in, but I took about 5 minutes to consider it before he said, "I'll make the decision for you, come on, I'll just crash on the couch." I appreciated that he remembered my indecisiveness. It made me feel secure. He settled on the couch while I took my bed, and nothing romantic occurred that night, which, in retrospect, I am somewhat relieved about. He left early in the morning while I was still asleep, which didn't bother me since I had work later. However, he didn't send me a text to say he was leaving, which felt unusual for him. When I woke up later, I asked if he had a chance to rest. 20 minutes went by without a response, which was odd. I started to worry that perhaps he was upset about either failing his CDL test or our lack of physical intimacy. Hours passed, and by 5 p.m., my anxiety kicked in, prompting me to ask if he was okay or if I had inadvertently upset him. He eventually informed me that he was all right but very disappointed with himself for failing his CDL test and had plans to celebrate with his siblings later that day. I immediately felt empathetic, conscious of how it feels to not achieve the grades one desires. I work and attend school full-time, and I have always sought validation in my academic pursuits. I have struggled to complete my bachelor's degree over the past 5 years due to mental health and physical ailments. I have always placed immense pressure on myself to succeed, believing that obtaining a degree is essential for the life I envision. Coming from a large household with limited financial means contributed to my anxiety, which has also been exacerbated by the fact that most of my family is now deceased, further impacting my mental health throughout my educational journey. I shared with him that he sounded like me, pressuring himself to be perfect from the outset. I recounted my experiences of failing multiple classes, including retaking one course 3 times to achieve the necessary grade. I wanted him to feel less alone in what he was experiencing, as I understand exactly how he feels. He didn't respond, so I decided to give him space to process his thoughts, which was difficult for me as an empath, especially since we had been in constant communication the previous day. I am unsure about my feelings. Maybe I have an anxious attachment style, but all I want is to spend time with him. Our shared laughter has always been the key to my heart. I considered inviting him to the movies to watch the new Captain America film to cheer him up. When I asked if he was working that day, he replied that he was currently working and would be driving for Uber later, so I just said, "Oh, okay, never mind," not wanting to seem overly clingy since he dislikes it when I say, "never mind." After that, he didn't reply. Now I am questioning whether my desire to be around him is due to old feelings resurfacing or if I genuinely miss him as a friend. Regardless, I can't stop thinking about wanting to spend time together. He is an Aquarius born in February, while I am a Gemini born in May, which may contribute to some of our personality clashes, especially considering his issues with letting things go and my desire for validation. Interestingly, my father is also an Aquarius, and he has always reminded me of him in many ways, especially regarding music. What do you all think? Do I still have feelings for him?